Alrighty then, hello, and thrice. Oh, one thing I forgot to do. Click! The lights come on. What do we think of the new setup? Yes, I've been playing around, as I always do, as I am wont to do. I got bored, and I thought I'd make a brand new overlay. And I say make, this is, of course, little bits and pieces that I picked off Etsy. There are various, folk there who do, pretty affordable Twitch overlays. And so I played around with some of the different elements and everything. I've also, of course, been, as you can see, like the little chroma key thing here. Actually, let me just, let's go to a different screen here. Yes. So this one might need to do a little bit of chromatic aberration around the edges, but I have it here on the actual game screen. What do we think? What do we think? I suppose I should probably actually hit the shift button real quick, because I don't think... Interesting. I don't think the camera button is... Oh, I'm a dipshit. So, okay. Already, stream's going off to a great start. Lol. Let me get into it. This is Arkham Horror. This is Arkham Horror, the living card game. What is a living card game, I hear you ask? At least I would if this was a two-way conversation, not just me screaming out into the void, as ever. But yeah, so basically a living card game is basically you play your character is a deck of cards more than anything else. You are a deck of cards, and as you proceed through various scenarios and adventures and everything, those cards get swapped out and new cards get added, and your deck begins to warp and adjust and change over time into something new, strange, and unusual. So it's a deck building game as opposed to a regular board game. If you are familiar with Eldritch Horror and Arkham Horror, the board games and everything, it's same bunch of characters, same basic premise. However, instead of just traditional, roll some dice, go around a board, pick some clues up and everything, the fact that your main focus is a deck of cards that is constantly changing and evolving, and there's a lot more of like a random element to it and everything, makes it's a really unique and interesting card game. And I want to preface everything before we begin. I want to be very clear about something. My guys, my gals, my non-binary pals, I know jack fucking shit about what's going to happen. I am very, 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 very early in my understanding of this game, and as such, expect there to be many mistakes. Many mistakes are going to be made, and there's also going to be several instances of me just trying to read information and so on. So I don't know how entertaining this is going to be, if at all. So please try and set your expectations as a good old-fashioned 0, and we'll just, everything's up from there, But anyway, Arkham Horror, interesting concept. This particular thing that you're looking at here, with a warped and twisted lens of an old one itself. This particular thing is this is on a system called Tabletop Simulator. It is something that you can get on Steam. That having been said, I'm sorry to say, but the particular thing I'm running at the moment is not available on the Steam Workshop. For various legal reasons, the full version of what I am going to be presenting to you all is not available in a traditional sense. What can I say? You need to do a little bit of digging. Just put yourself in the mind of a Lovecraftian investigator. Say, for example, you're trying to find the Eldritch Truth. You have a look around, do a bit of research, do some investigation. Eventually, you'll find what you're looking for. Because Lord knows it only took me about an hour to get hold of this beautiful thing. So I have faith in you all. If you really want to check this out, you will find a way. As the Daleks once said many, many years ago, every problem has a solution. Words I live by. But anyway, let us actually get over to the main screen, and I am going to give you all a look at how this actually runs. So at the start, we have this beautiful thing here. Let me just bring him up. Woof. Very loud. Welcome to the SED. Are you new around here? Hop on Joe Sargent's bus and take a tour with the investigators of Arkham. And as ever, apologies about the background ambient noise because Lord. Also, before we get into reading all this, this is the first time I've had this particular setup and playthrough and everything, and like the audio balance and this whole stream, this overlay and everything. And also, I am running straight through YouTube as opposed to Twitch because they seem to think that allowing Donald Trump back on the platform in the middle of everything that's going on is a reasonable and fair thing to do. I personally take issue with that, hence I'm on YouTube for the moment. We'll see how long that lasts. So, let me just take a little sippy sip. And let us begin. So, it's about my best efforts. Hang on, let me actually, before we really get into it, because it is super loud on my end. Let me just check the audio levels there. I think that will be okay for the music. So, anyways, where were we? It's about my best efforts. Looks like you found us. You may live to regret that. As long as you're here, though, we might as well show you around. Use the arrow to move forward. And if the horrors can be too much, you can quit whenever you like. You ready to get started? I am. Cameras can be tricky things. Best you leave handling it to the professionals during the tour. Don't try to move the camera until the tour is complete. Or once we're done, remember, you can use the P key to switch back to third person mode and the spacebar to reset the position. Zoom. If you're new to the game, the library here has everything you'll need. A little research can go a long way, and looking into old newspapers for the weird and unusual can yield some surprisingly helpful information. I put a few right there that might prove enlightening. So for clarification, we have the basic rules reference, up-to-date FAQ, rules index, and so like a breakdown of all the major stuff that's going to be going on. I'm actually... so basically with the scroll wheel we can just cycle through the different pages and everything. Most of what this particular thing is, this isn't the rules of how to play. This all assumes that you've actually read those. That's a freely available PDF on the... I really need to avoid saying Chaosium because this is not a Chaosium product. It's a Fantasy Flight Games product. But basically you can find the free PDF that goes through the actual basic rules. This is more a reference for specific terms and everything. This over here is something that I think is going to be less interesting. It's more of like a notes, errata, you know, things that have changed. And I'm like, look, I'm happy to just play the cards at least as they are for the moment and see where we go from there. And this is going to be a nice little index where if I'm looking for a very specific word, for example, what does parlay mean? I just look up to the letter P, parlay, and then I go to page 16 of this thing. What does parlay mean? Some abilities are identified with a parlay action designator. Such abilities are initiated using the activate action. See activate action on page 4. Cool. But yeah, that will actually mean something when we get into it. But anyway, we're leaving this poor lady hanging long enough. See now. To survive what's coming, you'll need a deck. If it's safely hidden away on Arkham DB, you can load it here, and even find the newest version after an upgrade without changing the ID. No need to publish all your decks. Use private and you can see it. Just make sure to select Make Your Decks Public in Arkham DB. So for clarification, Arkham DB, that stands for Arkham Deck Building. It is well, it says right there, in big letters, it says Deck Builder right there, son. Now, what this basically is, it's a website that has all the different card listings and all the different investigators, all the different cards, all everything. All the different options that you have as a player character. And people have made all these different deck listings, like all the different cards, all the different combinations, all the different strategies, this, that, and the other. And what you would do is you would basically copy and paste the ID code into these little spots here, and it would basically pop up on the screen. The cards themselves would literally just appear before you. Very useful, and we'll be playing with that in a little while. But anyways, zoom. I prefer the hands-on approach to building things. If you do too, you can build a deck yourself. All the cards you could ever need are here, laid out like a disassembled engine. Place the cards on the table, copy them for your deck, and you'll be ready for anything. So, for clarification, this is going to have all the different, they're called cycles, but this is basically a particular run, a thematic set of different releases that are all put under the blanket branding of a particular cycle. So for example, with like the Dunwich Legacy, they release the main box, and then they release a whole bunch of side scenarios that, basically the continuation from that main box, and so on and so forth. And those are going to include unique investigators with each cycle, unique cards, unique weaknesses, and other bits and pieces. So that's what you have access to here. Ready to face the unknown? We've smuggled shocking revelations and devious enemies from all over the world. Download the campaign you want to play, then place it on the table to see the scenarios. Just remember, if it turns out to be too much for you, I was never here. So, what this basically is, as I said, this is the full, this is basically the full campaign experience. What Arkham Horror basically is, as I mentioned previously, it's a deck building game, but you are going through a specific story. Now, each of these box sets is basically its own self-contained story, with various scenarios which thread together to make a wider campaign. So you don't need this one and this one to play this one. So I think what you do need is the core box set for the the basic cards, the rules, and all this other stuff. But I think what we're going to be doing as an introduction, at least to the system and how this works, is we are going to be playing the introductory scenario, Night of the Zealot. It is not the best scenario by far from what I have discovered. However, as an introduction to the basic vibe of what all this is about, I think it's going to be appropriate. So, next up. These symbols on the bottom right are a repository of arcane knowledge, containing all the official content to download, plus some deviously creative works from fans. One should beware those who seem too fond of the darkness. But you cannot deny the quality of their efforts. Don't see anything here? only promoted players can access these. So basically, if I had a bunch of other players in this game, if it wasn't just a solo game, then they would be able to, or may not be able to access all this stuff here. So you click this, and this is going to list all the different downloadable content. These are all the official things here. We've got a bunch of fan-made stuff. This is incredible. This is genuinely incredible stuff. Lovecrafter 3077. At some point I do want to try these out. Arkham Horror, that sounds awesome. Of course, Half-Life, a fan-made campaign. Interesting. Jumanji. All right. Fan-made scenarios. So these were just so again, as I said, the difference between a scenario and a campaign. A campaign is a whole bunch of scenarios put together. A scenario is basically just just like almost like a dungeon or something along those lines is the best way to describe it. Masks of Nyarlathotep, New York. Ooh, interesting. Miskatonic mouse. Uh-oh. When the happiest place on Earth shows up outside Arkham, surely nothing sinister could be happening, right? I like that. That sounds like fun. I am down for this. The Undying. For a brief moment, I wasn't too sure if that was based on Clive Barker's Undying, which is one of my favorite PC games of all time. If that were the case, that would be fucking sick. But anyway. And fan-made player cards. Interesting. Okay. Investigators inspired by the K-pop girl group Baldur's Gate 3 investigators. Gender-swapped investigators. Sure, cool. Potentially... I mean, I don't know for sure if that is AI art or if it's original art. I would have to double-check. Mass Effect... themed investigators. That seems to not be loading, sadly. Magical Girl Arkham Project. Oh no. 70 investigators. 70 for the Arkham Horror LCG from the Magical Girl Raising Project light novel series. Okay, sure. And hang on. Pokemon Eldritch. Yeah, we went on a tangent here. I didn't notice anything of this. Pokemon Eldritch Edition Investigator Expansion. Look at that! What the hell is that artwork? Pokemon Eldritch Edition includes a full 6-scenario campaign, 2 side stories, 5 new Jeez. Okay. So that's the DLC. That's all the stuff that isn't immediately right here on the thing. Good lord. But anyway, yeah, we're still on the tour, so let us continue. No-good aviator would fly a plane she didn't know and hadn't tweaked a bit herself. The gear icon contains settings to customize your play experience, from alternative ways to track your clues to a variety of helpers to streamline the game. Everything here is optional, but who doesn't want to go as fast as they can? Just remember that all settings affect all players, so strap in and trust your pilot. Okay, so that would be all this stuff here. There is one thing I do want to click here. Change background on setup. This color will be used to draw lines for locating. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Show the draw one button. Yeah. So that is fine. Alright then. This is the Mythos area. Encounter cards, acts, and agenda will all be placed here, while the large map below is where you will be exploring. Be sure to set the number of investigators. You can count Doom on the agenda by clicking the large counter, and the smaller will automatically count Doom tokens on the table. The Chaos Bag is that book over on the right, and you can add or remove tokens from it whenever you need. Yeah, we'll get into the whole thing with like the chaos tokens and everything in the near future. Again, I don't know how loud it is for you, but it's like some of this is like Sephiroth. I'm like, okay, I mean it's kind of on brand, but I'm like, go on, guys. I might actually loop this as well. Can I not loop this playlist? There we go, I can. And there we are. The evils that lurk in this world are out there, creeping ever closer. When they find you, this will easily draw a deck from the encounter deck. The deck will even reshuffle itself when needed, for the enemies we face are unending. Yeah, so basically push this button and, you know, a random encounter shows up. When the fate of ire finds you and the chaos looms, this large button will draw a chaos token. Click it again to return the token to the bag. Whether a vision of the future or a curse from the opponents we face, if you need additional tokens, a right click will draw more. I wish you luck, but have a vision of red tentacles reaching for you. So, what is the Chaos Bag? The Chaos Bag is another really interesting addition to this whole game and how it functions. Basically, instead of a dice that you roll whenever you're making like a skill check or something, what you're actually doing is you're taking out a token from a small bag. Okay, sure. Well, the main thing that I'm going to show you actual specifics shortly, but the main thing about it is that the tokens that you're putting into the bag before you draw them out, that changes depending on what type of scenario you're playing and what difficulty you're playing. If you want an easy scenario, then you put in a couple of bonuses and, you know, a couple of less detrimental ones. If you want to play hard mode, then you add more detriments. If you want to put extreme mode, then you add more shit and all that. And it's like, it's a really interesting way of getting around the whole problem of, okay, well, if you're just rolling a specific type of dice, then, well, here's the thing. You know how to roll a dice. There's only so many times that it's gonna roll a certain way. Whereas with this, there's something, it's just a little bit different. There's just something about it that just feels different. So do like very much. Okay. Folklorists immersed in the rich narratives of blessings and curses explore the essence of human beliefs. You can use this tool to control the amount of bless and curse tokens in the chaos bag. It will also display the amount in the bag plus sealed on cards for you. Remember to remove bless and curse tokens with this after resolving them. So bless and curse tokens, they're kind of a recent addition to the game, and there are certain campaigns and scenarios or certain characters, such as maybe a nun, where her name, of course, none your business, she basically, depending on what card she draws and everything, it says add a bless token, add a curse token. So the difference between the bless and the curse tokens, as opposed to the regular tokens that you would get in your chaos bag, is that they stack. Normally, when you're pulling a token out of the chaos bag, it's one and done. You either get a +2, a -2, an instant fail, or some sort of a wild card effect. With the bless and the curse, you pull that out, and then you pull out another one. It adds to whatever you're rolling. So there's a little bit more depth to it. Though it's interesting. It's a little different. But anyway, next up, please. I can afford to buy what I need, but for those less well off, we provided an endless pool of tokens to track your game. Simply drag one out of the pools here. Resources are my favorite, of course, but damage and horror are as inevitable as taxes. I leave those to my bookkeeper, though. Those tokens can work like counters. Use the number keys to change the value. So, much like over here, and yeah, basically your investigator and other cards that you are going to have in play, some of them are going to have health and basically damage and horror. That is what these guys are going to be for. So say I am injured in some way and the card says you're going to take 2 damage and 1 horror. I can choose to have some of that damage, instead of going on me, it can go on to one of the other cards. So that's nice. So this would basically be a way of pulling a couple of tokens. So for the record, oh, I can't move the thing there. So that's going to say what the number is there. So 27 damage. Yowza. Don't know if we're ever going to get to that level of gameplay. I don't know if what would do 27 points of damage or would have 27 hit points, but yikes. Anyway, let us see. Next step, please. That's the end of the tour, but there's much more to discover if you look in the right places. Some cards have helpers on the right-click menu, and every new version adds new content and functions. Don't be afraid to explore, and best of luck out there, or we'll all need it. True words were never said. Okay, so we're back into the actual camera and everything. So that was our introduction. Send Joe on his way. Bye-bye, Joe. Appreciate your service there, sir. All right, so let us get into a few things here on the board. So this, as we said earlier, this is the encounter deck. These are basically tokens which are going to change when we add a player character to the board. In essence, as you're going around playing this game, you have various turns. There are like 4 different phases to each round. There's the mythos phase, the investigation phase, the enemy phase, and the upkeep phase. Now, as you see in the investigation phase, it says that each investigator takes a turn performing 3 actions. Now, these tokens are basically supposed to be those actions. So it's a nice little way of keeping track of how many things you've done, because as things go on with this game and there's all the different cards are interacting with each other and everything, it can be very, very easy to lose track of how many turns have I had, how many of actions have I had and everything. So it's a way of keeping you honest. So that's basically what all that's about. So there's also a threat area. That's mainly to do with when you're getting an encounter and everything. The moment you get a card like a hostile card, an action, an event, or a creature or something, it's going to go here. And then when appropriate, it is either going to be in a location or it is going to be in your character's threat area. So basically, if there is a creature right here, then it is considered in basically in melee / threat with your character specifically. Other people can engage it and, you know, pull it away from you and everything, but for the sake of things with that creature, it is considered focused on at least you for the time being. However, some monsters are big enough to where they can have multiple people. It can threaten multiple people at the same time. So all gets a little bit noodly and everything. But anyway, there's one more token here of interest. This is for the lead investigator. Basically, there is no GM or keeper of arcane lore or anything like that. There is only you and your friends against the darkness. So what that basically means is one of you at the start of the game is decided to be the lead investigator, and the lead investigator is, in essence, they're the person who does the tie breaking. They're the person who decides how the rule is going to be followed. If there's a little bit confusion about, well, do we do it this way, do we do it that way, the lead investigator is going to be the one who says, let's do it this way, and we just move on. And also the lead investigator gets to decide who goes first. They can go first if they want to, but here's the thing, every single time it comes around to the investigation phase and everything else, the you're not locked into like a rotation or something, like clockwise or counterclockwise. It's the lead investigator who is going to say who goes when. So, but since we are playing a solo game, there's not really an issue. I'll take that. Thank you kindly. So, yeah, I think that's all the generic information there. Oh, also, as we go throughout the game and everything, this victory display board, any creatures that we have defeated, any, let's see, automatically counts the earned victory points from cards in the victory display and locations in the play area without clues on them. So that's something I missed. I didn't realize I was supposed to be, excuse me, I didn't realize I was supposed to be playing locations as well in my previous test games. So, okay, that's good to know. All right then, so I guess we should probably begin. Now, here is the thing. What we're going to do is we are going to be playing the introductory game. It's basically, this is the tutorial. This is the tutorial game. This is called Night of the Zealot. This is basically the original core box set. So if you ever get the physical copy of the game, this itself is the one thing that you would need to pick up. Now, let me see real quick. Oh yeah, so it's now here. So what we want to do is we want to hit the button that says place, and you can see it starting to add things to the board. We have 3 different scenarios. We have the Gathering, we have the Midnight Masks, and we have the Devourer below. We also have a campaign log for Night of the Zealot. So basically, as we're going through this game, we're going to be putting information here. All the, all the creatures that we've interacted with, very specific things. As we go through the game, it is going to say, hey, make a note over here that you did this or you did that. And something that happened in here is going to affect something that happened in here, which will affect something that happened in here. Okay, so factor. Also, another thing that popped up here is the actual campaign guide. So in essence, this is the campaign itself. So let us, first of all, before we get into it though, however, there's one thing we're missing before we start playing the game itself. We need an investigator. We need to be playing somebody. We need a deck of cards. Otherwise, what's the point of all this, right? So, what are we going to do? We are going to realize that I, being a very special little snowflake, completely forgot to actually open up my deck builder. And there's a couple of different cards. Now there is I will actually just bring it up on here really quickly. I want to say, so again, we're not reading that bit at the side there. In fact, yeah, that's still gonna be like that. But anyway, there are some suggested card decks for beginners and everything. However, I'm not going to play the default card deck. I actually do want to play a card deck that I found on Arkham DB. This is a teaching deck for the Guardian class, and it is featuring a character by the name of Zoe Samaras. So let me just get the ID number for this. What we would do is we just head over here, and because I'm playing white on here, and again, if you ever want to change the color that you're on, you can just do that. It's like Game Master, Spectator, you know, red, orange, white, green. And I wouldn't worry about the name of the color of the player. You can obviously play whatever class of card you want. And yeah, we technically didn't explain much about the classes of cards. We were very quickly here, but there are several different types of investigator. See, I'm actually still trying to remember that. So you know what? I'm not gonna lie and pretend I remember them all. Let's just actually focus on this here. So we're going to go over to the deck builder. We are going to copy and paste the ID number for the deck that I just said. And I want to zoom out a little bit so you can see what's going to happen when I hit the button that says build all. Kabam. So yeah, everything kind of has changed a little bit. And I'd like to introduce you all to Zoe Samaras. She is listed as a believer and a hunter. Now, what does that mean? If we go back over here, we actually don't have the word believer listed there. Interesting. We do have hunter though. So let's head over to page 12 real quick. Maybe believer is more of a flavor type thing. But hunter is a keyword ability. During the enemy phase in framework step 3.2, each ready unengaged enemy with the hunter keyword moves to a connecting location along the shortest path towards the nearest investigator. Enemies at a location with one or more investigators do not move. So, for clarification, when you're referring to like the words here and everything, like hunter and everything would be more focused on just the monsters or the creatures or the enemies, whereas it's more of a case of flavor text for Zoe here. She's a chef. God has spoken. I will do his work without question. Nice. She seems a nice friendly sort. And you see here, as we mentioned previously, the action tokens. So you can flip them open to see how many actions you've got remaining. And everything's kind of, the theme and the color has changed ever so slightly. That's because Zoe is what's referred to as, I believe she's referred to as a protector or a champion or something. Don't sue me, I'm still learning. Well, her main thing is that she likes to get in the face of enemies. She's not super good at investigation, but she is super into beating the shit out of things. So, she may not have been the best option for this scenario, but I'm curious to see how it works out. Alright? So, as you can see here, she hasn't taken any damage. She hasn't taken any horror. However, if you look at her character sheet, She can take 9 damage before she's retired, or she can take 6 mental damage. Also, at the top of her character sheet, that's automatically reflected here. You have various skills which are relevant to specific skill checks. For example, this particular thing is to do with investigating, picking up clues. This is for combat, this is for running away, and this, I believe, is for, solving mental problems, magic, a couple of different things. And this here is our character token. Basically, we have this to show where she is on the board at any time. And while we are active and we're still doing stuff, she's going to be flipped open. However, when you flip her back open like that, that shows that she has been exhausted and she is no longer in play until the next round. All right then. So, bippity boppity boop. Oh, also one other thing I will say, these cards, when you first get the deck and it's built from Arkham DB, the deck builder, you always want to shuffle them a bunch of times, because if you don't, then unfortunately the whole you're literally just drawing the same card one after the other. It's almost like it's alphabetical or something, so that's no good. So, I think we're getting very close to actually beginning the game itself. Now, as you see here, we have the campaign set up. Well, actually, now that we've got our investigator, let's actually begin the narration for this campaign. The Ghoul's Hunger. Friday, September the 18th, 1925. Arkham, Massachusetts. It is the end of a long and abnormally hot summer. The first hints of autumn beckon, but a heavy heat persists, relentless. A silent, unspoken anger grips the town. Tempers are short, and in the last week alone there have been numerous reports of townspeople coming to heated, violent blows with one another over simple misunderstandings. And now, a call from James Hankerson, Gesundheit. He claims to have found a dismembered body in his barn. Blaming the weather would be too easy. There is something wrong with this town, and not a whole lot this old soothsayer can do to stop the slide. My auguries indicate a small group of investigators will soon take note of these strange happenings and set forth to make things right. I'll be watching their progress, but I won't be holding my breath. Night of the Zealot is a campaign for Arkham Horror, the card game, for 1 to 4 players. It consists of the following scenarios: The Gathering, the Midnight Masks, and the Devourer Below. The cards for each of these scenarios can be found in the Arkham Horror, the card game core set. While playing a campaign, the players advance from one scenario to the next in sequential order, with the results of their performance and their decisions in each scenario carrying over to influence the next. Additionally, as the players advance through the story, they earn experience, which they can use to purchase new cards or upgrade existing cards for their deck. To set up the Night of the Zealot campaign, perform the following steps in order. Choose your investigator. We've done that. We also need to record our choice in the campaign log, which is this thing over here. So we will actually do that. And so my name's gonna be Dennis. Hello. Our investigator is going to be Zoe. We're gonna be playing as Zoe today. Lovely. Hello, Zoe. Of course, no trauma or experience, no other information there for the moment. Now, some people basically play this game with several different card decks. You know, you can have, this is a 4-player game, but you can have up to 2 or 3 decks at the same time. I, for one, we're going to focus on just the one deck for the moment. Again, I don't really know if this is going to be the best deck for what we're trying to do in this particular scenario, but we'll see how things go from here. One other little bit of cosmetic use that I have here is I'm actually going to open up a saved object from my tabletop simulator. I'm actually going to drop a bag of investigators here, and I'm going to search for Zoe. And yes, Zoe, if you'd be so kind. Boop. Boom. And you're no longer required. Thank you. So yeah, basically this is just a nice little extra. This was from a different mod that somebody added, and I'm gonna, you know, hit L to lock her in place. But yeah, this is who we're playing as. This is Zoe. She is listed as a chef, and she seems very, very stable indeed. Anything to say for yourself, ma'am?
I heed the Lord's call.
Cool. Okay then. So, I guess there's nothing else to be done. There's no more putzing around. It's about 50 minutes of setup. Let us begin for the very first time. Oh, by the way, before we get into it, you see here where it says there's 2 investigators. We're going to switch that down to 1. And if it comes to the point where I think it's going to be a case where we would need to play with 2 investigators, Zoe isn't really that good at doing things herself, then I will add another beginner-friendly deck. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to head over here now, and we are going to hit the button that says place for the gathering and witness what happens. Let me just zoom in a little bit. I just want to show this off. Witness this. The gathering. So yeah, one of the things that I was playing around with the settings earlier, I believe like this one here, it's where are you? Yeah, user class specific. Change the background on setup. So you have an option pressing here for changing the background of the play map whenever you want. However, I like the idea that the background changes every single time a new scenario begins automatically. I think that's kind of cool. I don't know why it would be switched off automatically, but you know. So anyway, what we have now is, we have a room, like a mat, and there's only 1 card on the board. What is this? The study? What is going on? Well, let's go back over to our campaign setup and remind ourselves of what's going on. So we also need to choose a difficulty level. Now we choose our difficulty level over here. I'm going to go with easy because I am not a freaking lunatic. Okay, and I'm still learning. And this scenario card here, this is a little bit of extra information. These specific tokens, whenever these are pulled out of the chaos bag, this is what these tokens mean. So if I draw like the green cultist one, that counts as a -1. And if I fail because of that -1, then my character is going to take a point of horror. You know, and again, Zoe can only stand about 6 before something bad happens. Okay? So, that's it. That's basically how that works. So, assemble the campaign chaos bags, already been done. And again, as I was explaining earlier, you see down here at the bottom where it says easy has a lot more. There's a couple more positives than expert and hard, where it's like, yeah, it's nothing but fuck you tokens. So yeah. So next up, oh, we actually skipped a page there. All right. So the campaign log. The campaign log on the back cover of this book is, which is actually, duplicated over here because of digital reasons. The campaign log is used to track the progress and development of the campaign. At the end of each scenario, the players must record their results by entering all the relevant information in the campaign log. This includes any experience earned by an investigator, each investigator's trauma level, story assets or weaknesses earned by each investigator, and any killed or insane investigators. During the resolution of a scenario, the players are often instructed to record an important note or a story element in the campaign log under Campaign Notes. These notes will often be referenced in later scenarios, allowing decisions from one scenario to carry over into later scenarios. If the players are instructed to cross out one of these notes, the crossed off note is ignored for the remainder of the campaign. Okay, makes sense. So, let us actually properly begin the gathering. The gathering. There can be only one. You and your partners have been investigating strange events taking place in your home city of Arkham, Massachusetts. Over the past few weeks, several townspeople have mysteriously gone missing. Recently, their corpses turned up in the woods, savaged and half-eaten. The police and newspapers have stated that wild animals are responsible, but you believe there is something else going on. You are gathered together at the lead investigator's home to discuss these bizarre events. Unfortunately, there is nobody else coming to help us. So, for the setup, gather all the cards, blah blah blah, put the study location into play. So all of that's already been taken care of by the wonderful people who set this up. So, with all that stuff that says do not read, that is not for us right now. Okay, now that is spoiler territory. So we have everything that we need now to begin the scenario, because you see here the study. It's a location card. You've been investigating the strange events occurring in Arkham for several days now. Your desk is covered in newspaper articles, police reports, and witness accounts. So what we're going to do, we're going to put Zoe over here because, that's where she's going to be. One more thing I do need to show you guys before we properly get into things is the agenda deck and the act deck. What are those? The agenda and the act. Well, this is basically the main meat of the campaign. What you saw over there was the intro, and in the red section where it says do not read, all of that is going to be various endings to the scenario based on what happens going forward. However, this is where the tires hit the road. I don't know. What's going on? It's late at night. You're holed up in your study. Well, I should actually flip the card over first of all. The door to your study has vanished. Wait, what? There is no door to the study. We're just locked into a room. What does that mean? And why did these two tokens suddenly appear? Well, we'll get to it in a minute. You see, it's late at night. You're holed up in your study, researching the bloody disappearances that have been taking place in the region. A few hours into your research, you hear the sound of strange chanting coming from your parlor down the hall. At the same time, you hear dirt churning, as if something were digging beneath the floor. As you leap to investigate, the door to your study vanishes before your eyes, leaving behind only a solid wall. You're trapped inside your study until you can find another way out. Aha! So, basically, this is the agenda deck. This is the act deck. As you see here in the bottom, there's a 2 symbol with the investigator icon. What that means is, for every investigator that's playing, you need to get 2 clues in order to proceed. Now, as we look on the study card itself, it actually says it has on the middle right side, that symbol there where it says 2 and an investigator. That means for every investigator that's playing the game, there are 2 clues. So we basically need to pick up these clues in order to go to the next card on this list. So that's what that's all for. Okay, so that's how we get those cards. How do we progress this deck? What's all that about? Well, that's something we don't want to progress. You see, the act deck is the part of the story where we, the investigator, are proceeding with the investigation. We're learning things, we're discovering clues, we're progressing the story, and we're proceeding with our we're acting against the mythos. The agenda deck signifies the mythos itself, as it is continuing to basically the bad things as they're proceeding. So this is basically a ticking clock, and this is measured by doom. So we want to get clues, we want to avoid doom. Well, how does one get doom? Very simple. As we look at the various sequences that make up a round, or the various phases, the first phase, which we are going to skip during our first round, is referred to as the mythos phase. At the very start of the mythos phase, you're going to put a doom token on the agenda. So you basically have 3 rounds before this card is moved out of the way, and we find out what is going to happen next. So we need to get 2 clues before 3 doom appears on this card. Make sense? Okay. Very itchy nose as ever. I apologize for the visual there. So, how does one get clues and everything? Well, let's actually properly begin the game itself. So, as I said, we've skipped the mythos phase, so we are now on the investigation phase. This is where Zoe can take a turn that's involving 3 actions. Well, what actions can we take? Well, we can draw a card or gain a resource. We can't draw a card and gain a resource. That would count as 2 actions. We can play an event or an asset card from our hand. And oh yeah, by the way, we haven't drawn any cards yet. Whoop! There's one thing I overlooked there. We'll draw the cards in a second. You can activate a specific type of ability with the arrow symbol on a card, because what that arrow symbol means is you are spending an action to activate that ability. You can move your character to a connected location. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen right now because we are trapped in the study with no door. You can investigate the location, and that's basically how you get clues. That's the main way of getting clues. An investigation is basically a skill check involving your basic stats and the chaos bag. You can also fight or engage an enemy at your location. At the moment, not necessary. You can attempt to evade an enemy engaged with you. No enemies at the moment. And then these 2 symbols here do not cost an action to activate. So you can do the little squiggly and the little reaction thing whenever you like. So it also says one more thing to note. If you are engaged with an enemy and spend an action to do anything other than fighting, evading, or activating a parley or resign ability, each enemy engaged with you makes an attack of opportunity, which means they automatically hit you for damage. Yeah. And they don't roll for damage in this game, they just automatically do a flat rate of damage each time. So, with all that having been said, we now begin our turn. We have 3 actions that we can perform. Zoe is trapped in this area and she would like to get out, but before she does anything, yeah, maybe she should get some tokens. So I am going to hit the number 5 and just tap, and that's going to give me 5 cards. And because we shuffled the deck earlier, these are the 5 cards we're going to get. So, first of all, a skill card. This isn't going to cost us anything to play. This is called Overpower. Max 1 of these committed per skill test. If this test is successful, draw a card. So, you notice on the left-hand side of the card, you know, the 2 fist icons. This would basically be a +2 to fighting if we were, you know, battling against a monster. So that's going to be useful, but not something we need right now. What we want to eventually do is we want to try and investigate. Now, the way we would investigate is we are using this particular skill here, the one with the book. Yeah. Unfortunately, our skill is fairly low. It's only a 2. And this number here is a 2. So, oh, well, we automatically get a clue, right? No, no, no. The thing is, what you need to do is you need to draw a token from the chaos bag. And depending on what the token is, it's either going to be a negative or a minus. If we get any kind of minus, and as you can see, there might be a couple of minuses. Oh, actually, this is actually, I think this is showing you the current arrangement. So we have 2 -2s, which would completely negate everything. We have 2 +1s. There's a whole bunch of -1s, and there's an auto fail, by the way. This is an auto fail token. So, yeah. Another thing to mention, the Elder Sign token, this thing here, that, depending on what your character is, you see here, where you've got the Elder Sign icon and the effects. Well, the Elder Sign for Zoe counts as a +1 for any skill checks. And if this skill check is successful during an attack, then the attack deals an extra 1 damage. Because the main thing with Zoe is she's really into fighting and combat and all that. So she's not much of an investigator, but she is good for, you know, like stabby. So that's how those cards work there. Oh, a final thing about this, the skill checks and everything, is this is actually going to be really useful. So you can either play the card. So you see the top left corner where it says a 1. What that means is you have to spend 1 of your resources to play the card. This is basically your mana pool. You know, this is how you don't just like throw down a bunch of cards and like, I win. It's not really how that works. You have to have enough resources in order to play the cards. So for example, this card doesn't cost anything to play. This costs 1 resource. This costs 3 resources. And this doesn't cost any as well. And so on and so forth. However, while it doesn't cost resources, if I were to play this card now, that would still take up 1 of my 3 actions. Make sense? Okay. Now then, the reading portion. Yay! So, what we want to do is we want to increase our investigation skill to where we're going to succeed in this. Now, we've got something here which is going to give us a +4. You see the two book icons? Instead of like playing the card, we can just burn the card. And excuse me. To my knowledge, I'm going on record here now saying this. To my knowledge, if I were to just burn the card, I would get an extra 2 on my skill check, but it means I can't play the card. I don't get any of the other benefits. For example, it says at the bottom where it says fast, play after you defeat an enemy and discover 1 clue at your location. So what this basically means is I can either have the opportunity to put more clue tokens on the board, or I can just set fire to the card and get an extra +2 on my investigation check to see if I can get a clue that's already on the board into my pocket. We're following? And this one, the guard dog. So this is referred to as an ally. So there are certain cards which are going to take up certain slots on your area. So this would be an ally. This would count as like armor. These would be mystical slots. These would be, you know, handheld weapons. I don't recall what that one is, and that one would be a trinket, or you know, something along those lines. So that is basically that. So the guard dog is going to be great for combat. And you see as well for this guard dog, it's got 3 hit points and 1 mental hit point. So 3 damage, 1 horror, I believe is the term. The dog, as a reaction, if it's already been played, when an enemy attack deals damage to the guard dog, you deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. Okay, so what I could do, instead of investigating this turn, I could burn 3 resources because it's a 3-cost card, and I could put the guard dog over here, so Zoe would have a dog protecting her. And whenever something is trying to do damage to Zoe, instead of all the damage just going to her, some of the damage can go to the guard dog. And when that happens, then that guard dog is automatically doing damage back to the thing that's attacking. So there's going to be some nice little synergy there over time. Oh, let's see. Stand together. Choose another investigator at your location. Both you and that investigator gain 2 resources. That would be great if I wasn't playing this solo, and if this was a custom-made solo deck, this card wouldn't be in here. But, you know. An emergency cache. Gain 3 resources. Okay. So, all that waffling on having been said, let's actually start getting into things now. I think, yeah, my first action is going to be to play a card. So I am going to burn 3 resources. And I am going to have the guard dog around there. So that's action number 1. Action number 2. Yeah, action number 2. I'm actually going to try and investigate. That's my second action. And because I'm using an action to investigate, I'm actually going to set fire to this card to give me a 4 investigation. So that's 2 of those plus the 2 on this card. That's going to come up to 4. I'm trying to beat a 2. So let's see what the Chaos Bag says. The Chaos Bag says fuck you. The Chaos Bag has given me an auto fail. So even though I burned that card, it didn't work. So fuck me and the horse I rode in on. I now have 1 action remaining before things progress. So you know what? Let's see, emergency cache. Do I want more resources? What's more important, an extra 3 resources, or draw a card, or try to investigate again? Well, since investigating is kind of important, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to burn my final action, and I'm going to investigate again. But this time, because I don't have any bonus, we're just going to see what happens. Okay, that is a bad thing. That was a cultist. It's a -1. Yeah. So unfortunately we failed, and not only did we fail, as it says, if we just let it mouse over, we take 1 horror as well. So yeah, our horror has gone up by 1. Now in theory, I could have chosen to give that point of horror to the guard dog. If I did that, however, the guard dog would be taken out of play, and that would not be a very sensible thing to do. So 3 actions have been done. There is nothing else that Zoe can do on her turn now. She is now spent. And we have achieved a grand total of 0 clues. This is going very well. So next up, we are going to check out the enemy phase. Any enemies with the hunter keyword move towards each nearest investigator. There are no enemies on the board. Each engaged enemy attacks if able. There are no enemies on the board. Okay. The next is phase 4, the upkeep phase. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset our actions. So what that basically means is I'm just going to hit the button that says upkeep, and it's going to automatically, you keep an eye on Zoe over there. It's going to flip. So we got a card that just came in. Our actions just got reset, and Zoe just got reset. So that's nice. So that is something. But yeah, well, I just had a brain fart. Yeah, no, we're supposed to start with 5 cards. I burned 1 and I played 1. So yeah, it makes sense that I've only got 4. You can only have a maximum of 8 cards, by the way. As it says here. You ready all your exhausted cards. So exhausted would basically be a card that's flipped on its side. So say, for example, I wanted my dog to attack someone. Once it's done that, however, I would put it on its side and it's listed as exhausted. So it's at this point in the round where I would flip it back up. Making sense? Okay. Investigator draws 1 card, gains 1 resource, and each investigator checks their hand size and discards it down to 8 cards. Okie dokie. Done and dusted. Now, all that's been done, we're now back up to the start of the round, the Mythos phase. We place 1 Doom on the agenda. We advance the agenda if the Doom threshold is satisfied. Well, let's see. First of all, Doom. 1 Doom on the agenda. We are waiting for basically, we need 3 Doom before the agenda proceeds. So, each investigator draws 1 deck from the top of the encounter deck. Well, heck. Let us begin. So, boop. What is this? Obscuring fog, a hazard. Revelation. You attach to your location. Limit 1 per location. Attached location gets 2 shroud. What does that mean? Well, it means now instead of Zoe having to make a score of 2 in order to succeed, she now needs to make a score of 4. Yeah. So I guess this was partially deliberate. Well, it wasn't so much deliberate because, again, I'm still learning the game and I don't quite remember exactly all the different cards that are in this deck. But it is possible that Zoe is not going to be doing well in this particular one. But that's okay. Failure is just as relevant as success with this game. So anyway, Revelation. I just want to double check what the word revelation actually means. What? What are you doing over there? You shouldn't be there. When did you... I'm so sorry, that's... Sorry, I was just really confused for a moment. That should not have been... that should not have moved. That was a weird little bug there. I don't know when that happened. Anyway. Sorry. Revelation. That would be under page 18. Revelation. A revelation ability may appear on encounter cards or on weakness cards. When an investigator draws an encounter card, that investigator must resolve all revelation abilities on the card. This occurs before the card enters play, or in the case of a treachery card, before it's placed on the discard pile. When a weakness card enters it, oh, that's fine. So basically, revelation, attach it to your location. Now, we only have the one location, and it is going to be the obscuring fog. So yeah, basically, what this means... I like how it basically becomes like a big key and everything. That's kind of cool. So, obscuring fog, a hazard. The after attached location is successfully... Yeah. So, basically, it is now what we're trying to figure out what's going on in our study. Unfortunately, there is a bunch of fog that is making it harder and harder to see shit. Ain't that grand? Well, anyway, I do recall that is the end of the mythos phase, and we're now back over to the investigation phase. So now we get to take our 3 turns. So here's the question: what the hell are we going to do? Because unfortunately, it is now a lot more difficult for us to get out. It's twice as difficult, in fact. So what can we do? Unfortunately, to my knowledge, I could be mistaken, but these particular skill cards, like the 2 points in combat, the 1 point in mental, and the like this here, I believe these are magic cards. They basically count as magic. Those cannot actually be used in a investigation check, because you need the book icon. So yeah, we're kind of in a pickle at the moment. So I think what we're gonna do is I think we're going to draw a card. That's one action. And what did we get? 2 emergency cage. That's great. That's actually awesome. Shoot. So uses 4 charges. When you are dealt damage and or horror from an enemy attack, exhaust the flesh ward and spend 1 charge. Cancel 1 damage or horror just to... Oh, okay, so this is a nice little... this is basically a defensive spell. This is a nice, boost to our defense. So technically, if we had this up when that horror thing attacked, we wouldn't actually have that point of horror. So I'm going to say... I don't think there's any way we can really... I'm going to burn my last 3 resources, and I am going to put Flesh Ward on the board. And you see automatically 4 of these tokens came up, and these are the 4 charges that this card can have. So yeah, basically. And I can also choose at any point, if I don't want to take any damage, I can choose to have that point of damage go over to Flesh Ward, which is going to evaporate it instantly, which would be a waste. But if I'm literally on 1 hit point, it's a nice little Hail Mary. So Okay. Yeah, so that was actually my second action, wasn't it? Yeah, gotta pay attention to that. So I think my third action... Gosh darn it. That is... I'm so annoyed that I have that card in this deck. That's unfortunate, but that's on me. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to... Yeah, I'm actually going to burn this card and I'm going to take 3 resources. So, and that is my final action. Didn't even attempt to investigate that turn. So, you know. How are you holding up, Zoe? Nope. Oh, that didn't work. Sorry, they have a little Oop. Ah, yeah, she's fine. She's absolutely fine. She's just going through it right now. Me too, Zoe. Me too. So, that was the end of the investigation phase. We now go over to the enemy phase. Technically, there are no enemies, so we're now on the upkeep phase. So we hit this button and everything's going to automatically flip over. We get a new card and a new resource and so on and so forth. Yep. And now back over to the Mythos phase. Yay! 2 doom, 0 clues. Woof. Alrighty then. Nothing else to really be done, so we're now on to the investigation phase again. What was our new card? What did we get? A beat cop. Okay. Interesting. So this is another ally that we could use in combat. So we have a permanent +1 to combat if the beat cop is in play. However, at the moment, we only have 1 ally slot, and it's taken up by the guard dog. Kind of want to keep the guard dog up for a while. I think he's going to be more useful. So I might just burn the beat cop when we're trying to do combat rolls. But yeah, unfortunately, it seems like Zoe has 0 boosts to her investigation skill. Because this is a team-based game, so if I were being smart, I would have had a second investigator with a different set of skills to help balance Zoe out. So yeah, that's fine. This is absolutely fine. This is not fine. Let's see. Choose another investigator. Yeah, this one I'm just gonna burn for a skill check at some point. That's for combat. I have to draw a card, so that's going to be action number 1. Oh, sorry. You always have to remember to only select one thing at a time. Now, vicious blow. Cool. How about action number 2, draw again. Oh my gosh. I'm probably doing some, yeah. Screw it. And so I'm just, really what you can do is you can do all 3 turns to investigate. I genuinely don't believe we're going to succeed at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we literally can't. We literally can't. We don't have any cards at the moment which are going to give us a plus to investigation. So mathematically speaking, we just can't do it. So there's actually very little point in trying. So, well, yeah, I'm just going to burn my third action and we're just going to investigate. So that's a -2. So -2, so 2 versus -4 equals failure. So that is the end of, that is the end of this particular round. Oh boy. Upkeep phase. Hang on a second, let me just flip it back over. And then, yeah, we just hit the upkeep. Now, again, obviously, this would be, then we'd go over to the next player, and the next player, and the next player. Then we go to the enemies, then we go to the upkeeper, because it's just us. Yeah, so I have made some mistakes. What is this card? The Meat Cleaver. Okay, that's nice. I might actually have the Meat Cleaver, and we also have a machete. So a Meat Cleaver and a machete, one on either hand. I like that idea. But unfortunately, there's no monsters yet. I have a sneaking suspicion that is going to change, however. So the upkeep phase, that's all been done. Mythos phase. Let us place one more Doom on the track. 3 of 3. Well, let's just check the card again. Let's see what that says. Advance the agenda if the Doom threshold is satisfied. Well, my friends, it appears to me that with 3 Doom, the Doom threshold is satisfied. So, I'm gonna. I think this actually goes in the discard pile. I could be mistaken. I'm actually going to put it there for the moment. I could be mistaken. But for the moment, we're just going to put that there. So, next up, Agenda 2A. Actually, is there anything that's going on here? Ah, yes. So we basically need to flip this over first before we continue with what's under there. So, your house continues to change before your very eyes. The walls have decayed, and the ground in many rooms has turned to dirt. It's almost as if you've been transported somewhere else entirely, although every now and again you recognize elements of your former home. The lead investigator must decide. Either each investigator discards one hand at random from his or her hand, or the lead investigator takes 2 horror. Okay. So I either discard one hand. Oh, or it's one card at random from my hand, or I take 2 horror. Now, one card that I can choose would be great, because I know what I would get rid of. But if I'm going to take 2 horror randomly, yeah. And that doesn't really count as an enemy attack, so I can't use that. So, I'm actually going to be reasonable, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I actually don't have a random number generator on hand, so if it's okay with the audience, I am actually just going to get rid of the one card I can't do anything with. So that go bye-bye. So, that is the result of failing the first part of the agenda there. Now, we now have a new problem to deal with. The rise of the ghouls. The floor beneath you is giving way, and you see a vast network of tunnels twisting into the darkness below. Shapes and silhouettes of strange creatures move swiftly through the tunnels, trying to find a way up. You probably don't want to be here when they do. Cool. Okay, and nothing else happened. I'm still trapped here. Great. Okay, cool. That is great. So, yeah. So we burn 3. I'm actually going to burn 3 to get this meat cleaver. That's my one action. My second action is going to be to fucking try and investigate. Because auto fail. I love how the one time I had a chance of succeeding and it was an auto fail. I'm just like, So I don't know what I can do. I don't know what I can do. Let's see, max 1 permitted. I would say I'm gonna burn. I'm gonna use my next action to burn another one of the emergency cache. I'm gonna gain 3 more resources. Okay, so we're now up to 5. That was my action. So be it. Oh, by the way, yes, I will say this. We haven't actually been drawing the Mythos cards because, full disclosure, I've actually played this scenario before. Or at least this opening bit, with a different investigator who was able to get clues, and it basically in the first act it's all obscuring fog. However, now within the second phase I have a sneaking suspicion that something else is going to happen. So that's the end of it, the investigator phase, enemy phase, blah 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 blah. We're now up to the upkeep phase. I should probably flip her over real quick. Blah 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 blah. Hit the upkeep. Boop. Do. I have a new card. Oh, cool. Unspeakable Oath, Bloodthirst, Madness, Campaign Mode only, Peril. Revelation, secretly add this card to your hand. Yeah. When the game ends, or if you are eliminated, if this card is in your hand, you earn 2 fewer experience. Reaction, when you deal damage to an enemy in excess of its remaining health, discard this card from your hand. Okay. So basically, if I kill an enemy with hit points to spare, like I do way more damage, I can actually get rid of this card. If I don't get rid of this card, I'm going to earn less XP. Lovely. Isn't that nice? And no, I don't get to choose to get rid of this card. This is what's referred to as a basic weakness. A weakness is a little extra fuck you that the game throws at you. So, yay! We're having fun. Lord. But yeah, that was the upkeep phase. Mythos phase. Okay, so one more on the token. One card from the top of the encounter deck. So let's hit the encounter deck. Again, it's obscuring fog. You can only limit 1 to locations, so it is basically, yeah. So just hit the discard button, goes in the discard pile. So mathematically speaking, this isn't very, I know this isn't like really exciting. I mean, it'd be great if a monster appeared, but unfortunately, I think because we're playing a non-tutorial deck, I think we've kind of messed up a little bit, but you know, heck, I'm willing to see what happens if we just cycle through this and, you know, can't succeed. So, first of all, I'm just gonna... Do we actually have any +2? We only have +1. So, mathematically speaking, we can't even... You know? Unless I had a card I could burn, which I don't, there's literally nothing to be done. Which sucks, unfortunately. And again, even the Elder Sign, I believe the Elder Sign only counts for us as a +1. So the most we can get because of this bag is a 3. We mathematically, unless we burn a card, and we don't have cards we can burn for this skill check, we literally can't succeed. So, you know, so I'm committing to the bit. But for the record, this was a bad card deck to have for this scenario. Unfortunate, but you don't know until you try. So, just trying to see what we got here. These are skills, these are assets. Do I want to burn? Do I want to burn another 3 resources? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. And let's get the machete out. So we're basically dual wielding a meat cleaver and a machete. I like that. Because the whole point of this particular deck is about doing damage in combat, and there's nothing attacking us because we're in the tutorial and we're stuck. Oh, woof. So yeah, that was your one action. Second action, I think, is going to be to draw a card. Another meat cleaver. You know what? Third action. Sure. Third action is going to be to draw a card. Boop. Oh, hey, so we now have a gun as well. And you see, that's one of the first times where we've seen the foot icon. That basically allows us to get out of dodge and basically evacuate the area. But unfortunately, not really going to be useful in regards to what we're trying to do. So anyway, that is the end of the actions that we can do on this character. Going to flip it over. And as ever, it is the enemy phase. No enemies, blah, 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 blah. Now we're going to do the upkeep phase. Got a new card here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Remember, you can't have more than 8 cards at a time. So this is a new one. A skill card called Guts. Basically, if this is successful, draw a card. So as you see on the side, because there's 2 icons, whenever you're making a particular skill check with those icons on it, this counts for a +2. Gotta admit, I'm kind of salty that I burned my one good card at the very start of this game, but it is what it is. Zoe? Yeah, me too, Zoe. Me too. So anyway, that is our upkeep. We are now on to the Mythos phase. Yay! Mythos 5, 0 clues. We just need 2 more for the agenda to fuck us even more. Yay! So, again, we hit the encounter deck, and yay! Finally, something new happens. Crypt Chill. Test oh, okay. So it's going to be a skill of 4. We already have that. So if you fail, choose and discard 1 asset you control. Okay. So what that is going to mean is... Actually, yeah, we literally just did this. So if we succeed, we get to draw a card. Because, again, this particular skill, it's +2 to our quote-unquote head skill, which is going to give us a 6. And we have to beat a 4. Make sense? And, of course, meets it, beats it. So, what I could do is I could use this, and this is going to be instead a plus. It's going to be a 3 instead of 4. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with this. We're going to commit this card here. It is going to bring us up to a 4, 5, 6. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. So, again, that's an auto fail. That's a failure. Doesn't matter how many points you have. It's a fuck you. So, we have failed. So, discard 1 asset that we control. At the moment, I actually have 2 assets. And I'm actually going to discard this meat cleaver because I already have a meat cleaver there. So, there you go. Boom. Great. Yeah. So, we're going to discard that. Supernatural Cothens. I'm 99% sure that that doesn't linger. That's basically gone now. But yay! Cool. So that, unless I'm mistaken, is going to be the Mythos phase. We're now back onto our actions. So kind of annoyed there. Do I burn the 3 resources needed to play another meat cleaver? Do I want to instead swap that out for a firearm? Uses 4 ammo. Yeah, I actually think I'm just gonna burn all 4. That might not be sensible, but you know. Oh. So that is gonna be action number 1. And then I think action number 2 is just gonna be drawing cards. Because, you know. So draw you. We got another guts and draw again. So vicious blow and guts. Okay. So we have some cards, some, you know, we've not taken a lot of damage, but unfortunately the scenario is progressing poorly. You know, we are unfortunately not very effective at escaping this room, but that is just the nature of it. No enemies. We're going to just have to flip it over real quick. And you don't have to flip her over, obviously, mechanically speaking, but it's just, that's what you're supposed to do at the end of the round. So, hit upkeep, and that's going to flip everything over. We've got a brand new card. Oh, another guard dog. Very nice. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We now have a full hand. We can't accept any more cards. So, I do declare it is up to the Mythos phase. And ding, and ding, and more of this. So, do we have any other... Yeah, actually... Yeah. I kind of don't want to draw this card. Well, we don't have any cards. You see, in a deck that had more opportunities for this symbol, this would be a really good idea. Honestly, there's not much else I can do because these are all combat based. So we're basically just lining up a hand to where something does appear on the board to attack us. We can smash it into pieces instantly. So I would say, yeah, let's actually just our action is going to be to well, it's not an action. It's not an action. I'm sorry. What am I thinking? We're actually reacting to this thing. So we're going to have 4, 5, 6. Let's see what happens. Come on! I'm just going to test this real quick. Welcome to Arkham Horror, everyone. Welcome to Arkham Horror. So we have failed. Discard 1 asset. Bye, machete. Cool. Cool. Oh, we're having a great time, aren't we? We're having a good time. So, that's the end of the Mythos phase. It is now my turn. One... Oh my gosh. Just below. Speaker below. McCleaver. Just below. Guard dog. Oh man. Yeah. I think... So I just wanted to remind myself what I can do. I can play an event or an asset card. Draw a card or gain a resource. In this instance, I'm like... Yeah. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 actions to get 2 resources. So I've got 3. And I'm going to use my 3rd action to play the meat cleaver again. Because I can't play the dog because I've already got the dog on the board. Make sense? Right. Lord. Okay. So that's me done and dusted. No monsters, of course. Upkeep phase. Flip it all back over. Boop. What is this? Oh, hey! Sweet baby Jesus and the orphans. We finally have a small chance. Basically, as long as I don't get a negative card, there's a chance I might succeed if I play this card. That is really rough. That is really, really rough. So we have a chance. Yeah. Mythos phase. I said we had a chance. Unfortunately, no, we don't, because the time has come. Let's see what the next step is. A feral beast, roughly humanoid, with a canine cast and hooves for feet, tears through the ground in front of you. Below the floor, you can see vast tunnels beneath your house, fiendish, howling echoes from deep within the underground caverns. Shuffle the encounter discard pile into the encounter deck. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until a ghoul enemy is discarded. The lead investigator draws that enemy. Okay, alright then. So what that basically means is just basically draw a ghoul. No, okay. So I'm just gonna keep Ancient Evils, Ancient Evils, Ancient Evils, Dissonant Voices, Dissonant Voices, Dissonant Fear. So where are these cards coming from? Okay, so it's coming from the encounter deck. So basically, I'm just gonna keep tapping this until a ghoul shows up. Rotting Remains. Grasping Hands. Grasping Hands. A ghoul. There we go. All right then. Now, that took a while. You know, I've only just realized something. The penny has only just dropped. Every single time I play this game, when I've tested this scenario, it's always been the creatures happen in the same order. It's because I haven't shuffled the encounter deck. So there have been instances where okay, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep it like this, but in my defense, I'm a dipshit. Okay, so the ghoul is now going to be right here, and we are going to take all of these guys, and we are going to just flip it over. Oh, that didn't take them. So all 12 of these, flip them over, put them back into this encounter deck, and now shuffle the bastard. Okay. Pro tip: if you're playing this particular game, make sure you shuffle the cards. Good lord. Okay, the Ravenous Ghoul. Let's have a look at you. He's automatically going to go to whoever has the lowest remaining health. It is just me at the moment, so there we go. The sight of the thing raised the question, do we eat to live or do we live to eat? So, he has a combat of 3, a speed of 3, and 3 hit points. So that's something. So, yeah. Lead investigator draws that enemy. Okay. Now, that is just to set things up. I don't believe he attacks just yet. That's just, he's right in your face. Now then, they're getting out. You hear a crazed howl outside, and suddenly all the creatures turn their attention to that sound. They rush to escape the house, breaking down the doors and clawing at everything in their way. At the end of the enemy phase, each unengaged ghoul moves one location towards the parlor. At the end of the round, place one doom on this agenda for each ghoul enemy in the hallway or parlor. Well, technically speaking, we never got the hallway or anything down because we've been stuck in the investigation phase. So, yeah. Cool. But anyway, that's the end of the Mythos phase. We're now on the investigation phase. Cool. I get to take a turn involving 3 actions. Well, I've got this dude right in front of me. So what I'm going to do is... yeah, so I am going... I think... What are we going to go with? You get +1 for this attack or +2 instead if you have 3 or few remaining sanity. Ah, okay. Alright then. So, basically the more crazy I am, the more damage I'm going to do. I think that we're going to... Let's just focus on shooting him with our gun. So, yeah. So, our first action is we are going to attack. Now, as part of that attack, what I can do is I can burn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. So as part of this attack, I'm going to burn my overpower card, which gives me an extra 2. So that is going to be a +1 from that, +2 from that. So that's +3. So that's going to be a 4, 5, 6. That's a 7 versus his 3. Okay. So that's 7 versus 3. So let's see what the Chaos Bag says. A tablet? What does tablet mean? 7 versus 3. -2. If there is a ghoul enemy at your location, take 1 point of damage. Well, I don't think I will. I think my guard dog is actually going to take 1 point of damage for me. So, I still succeed, however. So, fuck you. And, hang on, so that was -2. Sorry, let me just do some math real quick. That was 1, 2, 3. Oh, by the way, that's going to be 1 point of ammunition gone. Where's the trash? There you go. Thank you. You get a +1 for this attack. The attack deals 1 damage. Oh, so he's only had 1 point of damage done to him. Boo. That's a little frustrating. So he has 2 hit points remaining. But yeah, he didn't attack me. He attacked my dog. So he's actually going to get 2 points of damage. So yeah, he only gets 1 more... basically, he's only got 1 hit point remaining, so that's something. And, yeah, let me see. When you're dealt damage, well, that's a reaction. I can't use 2 reactions. I chose to use my reaction on the dog. So I think for my second action, yeah, I'm going to hit him again. I'm going to use the gun again. That is going to burn another bullet. This time, oh, I forgot. Because we used this, if the test is successful, we get to draw a card for free. So, we have this. Liquid Courage. Spend 1 supply and choose an investigator at your location to heal a horror. Oh, that's nice. Okay. Okay. Cool. But anyway, one thing at a time. We're now doing our second attack. We've already got rid of our ammunition. So, That is going to be an extra 1 of fighting. So we're now 4. We're on 5. Do we want to burn any more of these? I actually do. I want to do... getting an extra point of damage would be useless at this point. So... I'm actually going to burn this card. Because I don't really need him at the moment. So that's going to be +1, +2. So 4, that's 5, that's 6. Let's see what happens. 6 versus -1, so that's 5. That succeeds. So he is dealt 1 point of damage. That hits for 3 points. And the ghoul is defeated. The bitch is dead. Okay, wonderful. So he's over there in the discard pile. Very nicely done. All right then. So, let's see. Spend 1 ammo. Fight if you get +1 first attack damage deals. Attack deals 1 damage. So yeah, the ghoul was basically taken out immediately. And we didn't get any damage back that time round. So yeah, we have 1 more action that we can do. And you know what? Just for the fun of it, I am actually going to make an attempt to... yeah, I'm going to make an attempt to burn this card here. So we now have a 3 to our investigation. And let's see if we can succeed. If we get a +1, we succeed. For the first time this entire game, we have actually succeeded. So that was a 3 + 1 equals a 4. That means we get 1 clue. Fantastic. We only need 1 more clue to get out of this area. Good grief. But yeah, that is actually the best round we've had so far. So all 3 actions have been expended. So Zoe is done. And we now go over to the enemy phase. However, we succeeded in taking out the only enemy that was remaining. So we now go over to our upkeep phase. Which means we just hit the button. And all the tokens are flipped back over. And we are given a new card. Medical student. Interesting. Can I get course credit for this? After the medical student enters play, heal 1 damage and 1 horror from an investigator or ally asset at your location. Okay, that's going to be useful. Alrighty then. So, I do believe next is going to be... Yeah, so we've done the upkeep phase, back over to the mythos phase. Yes, we are going to push the button. 8. If we get to 10, then it's probably an end of this scenario. But yeah, and we also draw a card. And what happens now? A ghoul! Another ghoul. Wonderful. It was a colossal and nameless blasphemy with glaring red eyes, and it held in bony claws a thing that had been a man, gnawing at the head as a child nibbles at a stick of candy. Lovely. Okay, so this guy, he is going to be at the location. So technically speaking, here we go, just boop, pull him over there. So there isn't really anyone else he could be engaged with. Let me just see. Each engaged enemy attacks. Yeah, I think honestly the way it works is he would basically go to that location, but because I'm the only person there, he's already engaged with me. So that's how that works. If I'm wrong, please do let me know. Anyway, that is the mythos phase, and now it's our turn again. We have 3 actions and we have something in front of us. Let's kill the fucker. So what we're gonna do is, let's see, When an enemy deals damage to the guard, I'll deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the gun has been really good so far. So let's actually start things off with the gun. We're going to expend 1 point of ammunition. And we are then... So that's going to be a 4. That's going to be a 5. And technically we don't... So... You know, I just realized something. We should have already been doing damage, so technically it should have been 2 damage that we were doing, unless I'm mistaken. I don't think it's based on a margin. So yeah, I think I might be making this a little bit harder for myself than it needs to be. But anyway, if this succeeds, we basically kill the fucker outright. So, you know. So, yeah. Let's see what happens. Okay, so that is a negative... What is that? -1. Regardless, I think 5 versus 2, that's going to succeed. So that's 1 damage to... Yeah, he's only got 2 hit points, so unless I'm mistaken, that means he's taken out. So we have succeeded in that regard. Next up, yeah, unfortunately we don't really have any way of, we only have 12 cards left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm actually going to use an action to draw a card and see what happens. What do we have? Oh my gosh. Okay, yes. So, yeah. We are going to burn this to get 4. So, the only way... Oh, yeah. So, the only way to succeed is if we either have a +1 or no negatives. Because that's... 1 sec. So, that's a 4. Yeah, so that's a 2 plus a 2. It's a 4. Have anything else that I can play? No. So let's find out. Let's find out. Our survey says fuck you. Okay. Cool. Well, at least now I know that I didn't need to draw this card earlier on, so all of this is my own fault anyway. So this scenario has become pretty much unwinnable because of my misunderstanding of the shuffle thing. So that's all good. That's all good. So I do believe that was it. That's everything that I can do. So on the bright side, it doesn't seem like I've at least my character isn't going to be instantly killed, let's put it that way. So she's in a good position in that regard. So let's do the upkeep. We get a new card. Stand together, a useless card in this instance, if ever there was one. Well, now we're going to go over to the Mythos phase. So just one turn more, and let's see what we get. We get a ghoul. Okay, ghoul's going to be over here. And I believe that's it. So yeah, back to basics. What about this? So this is a +1 for the attack. If this attack defeats an enemy, you may heal 1 horror. Oh, that's nice. Excellent. So yeah, I'm actually going to do that. So we are going to have our first action being we're going to attack with this. So it's going to be a +1. So that's a 4. That's going to be a 5. We need to beat 2. So let's see what happens. Okay, yeah, we succeed, which means we're going to do +1 damage. So that was what? That was a 5. That was... I want to say that we've actually succeeded in killing it. If I'm doing that wrong, then, you know, please do let me know so I can correct it for future runs. But to my knowledge, because it's got 2 hit points, we succeeded by basically we had 5 points, it only had 2, so we at least succeeded by 1 point, and we get 1 extra point of damage from this. So yeah, it's only got 2 hit points, so it's automatically dead unless I'm mistaken. So the second action we're going to perform, because there's no point in investigating, because we have an investigation of 2, we have no bonuses to that. Hang on, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Do I want to burn? What are the... We only have a lot of people. We have a lot of people in our card deck. That's... Where does this go? I want to say... Yeah, alright. Unless I'm mistaken, we're going to burn 1 resource. And we're going to put our liquid courage here. Unless I'm mistaken. So that's got 4 supply. That's got 4 options there. That was our second action. And for our third action, I want to say... yeah, it's mathematically impossible, so let's actually just draw another card. So that's our third action there. And that's going to be another 0.45. So yeah, we are done. Flip her over. Then it's going to go over to any creatures. We've already killed the creature because we are a beast. Then we just flip everything over. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Yeah, we were at the maximum for cards. What was the new card we got? Evidence. Oh my gosh. Okay. I really wish we had more of this particular card in our deck so we could actually succeed in some investigations. But yeah. So next up, however, it's too late for that. We are at 10 Doom. The ground begins to shake, and you can see claws rising up from the dirt as uncanny creatures desperately try to dig their way out from the ground all around you. Oh, actually, before we do that, remember, we use the cleaver. We succeeded. If this attack defeats an enemy, you may heal 1 horror. So, yeah, we're going to heal our horror. So we're actually at 0 there. So that's nice. Anyway, let us continue with the slaughter. Let's see. Just the ground begins to shake, and you see claws rising up from the dirt as uncanny creatures desperately try to dig their way out from the ground all around you. Everywhere you turn, you see monsters emerging from the earth. Terrified, you flee as fast as you can. If the investigators are at Act 1 or 2, they are trapped inside the house as the ghouls tear them apart. Whoa, heck! Okay, so R3, that's going to be this over here, Resolution 3. You run to the hallway and try and find a way to escape the house, but the burning hot barrier still blocks your path. I never even got to the barrier. Trapped, the horde of feral creatures that have invaded your home close in, and you have nowhere to run. In your campaign log, record that Lita was forced to find others to help her cause. In your campaign log, record that your house is still standing. In your campaign log, record that the ghoul priest is still alive, and each investigator who has not resigned was killed. If there are not enough investigators to continue the campaign is over, and the players lose. Well, that's unfortunate. So yeah, I guess that was the introduction to Arkham Horror. Again, unfortunate that because I chose the wrong investigator and I didn't shuffle the encounter deck and everything, we kind of had an unwinnable scenario there. Literally an unwinnable scenario. But we did get a little bit of combat in there, and there is something I do want to investigate a little bit more in regards to the combat rules, just a refresher, just so I know I'm doing it correctly, because I don't want to cheat, because what's the point in cheating? But all in all, oh, by the way, Zoe, There you go. The bitch is down. Excuse me. But yeah, that is in essence the rough mechanics of how the game works. Again, not much point in recording it in the campaign log because, I mean, campaign's over, you know? So, would have to run that again, and again, making sure that all the cards are shuffled this time. Honest mistake to make. But all in all, that is Arkham Horror. It is an interesting, it's a very interesting card game. Your deck and your character, as you have learned, is essential. You need to actually know what cards you are playing before you just jump in. So there's a big barrier to entry. There's a lot of knowledge and everything that you do need to pick up on. And I basically was given the recommended deck that the game says at the start that you should try to get through the story. But I was like, no, I want to try something different. And we have learned why that didn't work. So, I think we'll be doing this again, probably a different scenario, or maybe no, I'll do the same scenario but with a recommended deck in the future. That may or may not be on stream, we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's Arkham Horror. A very interesting game. I would love to get the physical cards at some point, but for the time being, as we're learning, the digital game is definitely a really good way of learning how all that comes about. But anyway, thank you all. Sorry, let me boop over here. Thank you all so much for joining, and hope to see you all again in the near future. Not too sure when the next stream is going to be. Definitely plan on doing something for Saturday evening, 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But until next time, be safe, be well, and we will see you all again in the near future. Toodaloo, everybody, and ta-ta.